Yeah, hi, this is SportsReplays. This is how I did this round. Not particularly that great. Went down the rankings, and that pretty goes to 20k now for me. I was at a good shot, but largely due to that washed out game, it sort of stuffed up my plans of what I'm going to do. I was in good position, so even trying to get in the top 10, it's going to be difficult now. And it's just sort of thrown a spanner in the works, as what I have done. It's himself fight. He got a couple of catches, which is good, but he did terrible with the batting. Actually, Renegades had a terrible start for that match. Harper did terrible as well. I was actually sort of losing money now after having a decent start to the campaign. So yeah, I got him at 170 self fight. Now he's down to 104. Yeah, back where I believe where he started, or probably even gone below that. So that's a bit frustrating. We're getting him rid of for Philippi, but Philippi performed poorly last night as well. So it's not it's one of those things that are a bit frustrating. And then onto the batsman. So what I did, took the loophole option as Gilks, because I was hoping that Gilks, would play the double, and it would have probably worked out because he still got 45 for the first game. And the same thing with Warner. So from what I can see here, I got a donut there in the batting because I had Gilks on. Now, if I knew what I should have done, it should have brought in Owen the next round or this week instead of last week, and maybe bringing in Glenn Maxwell instead. I would have been better off doing that, considering the risk. And this is the thing with this Sydney and even Brisbane and sometimes Melbourne. It does rain in summer. It's not like we're Perth where it's mostly dry. They have dry summers. In Sydney, you don't know what you're going to get. Like with the SCG test, it was fine. So I should have factored that in and maybe just, brought it on this week, but I didn't want to make the trades this week. Like I mentioned, should have probably brought in Glenn Maxwell. I mean, he got a 50, so it would have been paid off. It's just little things like this that I need to keep aware with. And this is the thing with BBL compared to AFL Supercoach. When it's raining, it doesn't really matter as much. With certain players, it may, but with BBL, you can't. There'll be no scoring. The game gets off, and it's just frustrating. There's nothing you can really do about it. Particularly if good players playing. I mean, if the game did play, Owen with Warner, I would have been well up. And it's just frustrating, and I've got a donut because of that. Same with Jukes. Wilton, I think we play in this round, but I think he leaves at round 8, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. Stonus, he did alright with bowling, got a few wickets. I'm got a mediocre run rate, but did batted poorly. Got 4 off 8 balls, which is terrible considering it's a T20 game. But he bounced back with the ball, and he still generated some bit of cash, which is alright. I mean, I think I'm just going to hold on to Stonus for the time being. Although South Melbourne Stars do have the bye this week, from what I can see. I know they got a game. It must be next week. So next week they have the bye. They do have a round this week, so it'd be silly to get rid of him this round. And Edwards did alright with the ball, but again, sort of like with Stonus, didn't do particularly that well with the bat. And then, Dykes, which already gone over. And then the batters here, or the bowlers, I should say, although Sutherland batted really well. Got 166, got a few wickets. It was probably one of the best games I've seen someone play this season. 166. If you had him as captain, you'd be laughing. You're miles ahead of everyone else who didn't. And Connolly too, which was just terrible. Which I was thinking get rid of him potentially last round, since I reckon he's reached his peak price point. Been like one of the best batsmen in the competition this season. But once again, it's a bit of a high risk. If he's not bowling that many overs, which he really hasn't been, you're going to lose out. And I think maybe I could have traded Connolly to Maxwell last week potentially, or a few other players. And then Ferguson, got him as a VC option. He bowled really well in the first match, but again got washed out. And I probably lost, maybe over like 200 points with that match. And then you've got on Bethel 3, which is a pod that not many people have, which worked well the last couple of rounds, but didn't work well this round. It was probably one of the major differences. I can't have pods performing poorly as a result. he has to go. He didn't really bowl too much and batted terribly. At least if he got like a 20 odd or 30 runs, it wouldn't be a huge deal, but he just didn't do that. So he's probably going to have to go. They are playing the Melbourne Stars, who did well against them last time. We only played them a few weeks ago. Uh, just 2 matches ago we played them. This is the thing with Big Bash. It's just they need to break out. They need to spread out the team plays each other a little bit more. You can't just play the same side like this 1 or 2 games ago. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they do that with the scheduling. And then Warren obviously didn't play, but I still got Zampa's emergency score, which is great, which sort of saved me. But the problem is I had a donut there and had players scoring 2 and 3. Jordan didn't end up playing as well. So essentially I had 2 players that didn't play at all because I took the loophole option, thinking that hopefully Owen did play. So they probably shouldn't have brought Owen in. I already brought Jordan in. So I only really brought in like 1 player from the Hobart game anyway, or from Hobart, but I still brought in Ferguson and Warner, and then had Sam's injured, which wouldn't have mattered anyway. There's been a few things that I've done silly in the last couple of trades, but you never know, there could have been potentially a game where they could have been fine up at least get half a game, but you've got to be mindful with these things with BBL. You have to be more alert than even with AFL Supercoach. For this week, should be a lot better though, I reckon, because I've got the Hobart players in. Now, should I bring in another bowler for Bethrall? Maybe I like O'Reilly Meredith, which I probably will. And I've got Chowdhury as well as another player didn't play. So I had like 3. So I brought in 2 Hobart players, and I think, did I bring in Ferguson? I believe. Did I bring anyone else? I think it was just Ferguson, and Owen, and Chowdhury, and they were all playing. So it's a bit silly move bringing them all in at once. It could have potentially worked out though if that match played. So that was probably a silly move on my part doing that. But for this round, it should hopefully work out a lot better. Hopefully there's no, so it is playing at Hobart, so hopefully there's no rain tonight, which I'll just have a quick look now. It should be fine. I mean, it's summer and you got a lot of rain in certain places in Australia. Let's go to Hobart. Whether they're playing at Ninja Stadium, so Hobart. Well, it's sunny in Hobart, so it's gonna be all right today. It's gonna be all right. So what we'll do. So they don't have the double until next week anyway, Hobart. So it's only just every side playing once this round by the looks of it. So it's a double next week. It should still work better this week. So we're going to get rid of, I think, Bethel. He's made his bit of money. And I don't think it really going to work out too well. He has to go. Should I bring in another bowler? I might bring it next week. Zampa's a hit or miss player. It's probably good to have him as a flex or emergency option. Zampa. The problem is this round though, he is playing the last game against the Stars, which could be a good and bad thing. He did poorly last time against the Stars. But again, the Stars seem to be doing a lot better now. We're doing a lot better. He could get a couple quick wickets, depending. The top order hasn't been that great for the Stars, so the middle order is doing well lately. You do have Duckett. So with the spinners, they usually bowl around the middle order or the late top order, middle order potentially coming in. So there is a chance of him getting 1 or 2 wickets. Bethel, I'm not too sure. His break-even's too high. I need to look at his break-even. If I was going to get rid of him, it'd probably be for a Meredith, but I don't want to have the gamble on too many players all in at once. Or maybe I could. Maybe just one more Hobart player trade in. Because round 8, they've got Brisbane, who isn't doing that great in batting, so the bowlers might get a few wickets that match. And they've got the Renegades, who are doing mediocre. The batting's not as good as well I thought it would. But the bowling's doing pretty well for Renegades. So what I'll do this round, since he's got a high break-even Bethel, and I don't want to take the gamble, Well, it's probably now who's undervalued. Maybe I could bring in just one more Hobart player, Riley Meredith. He's only 117 for a player of his ability. Nathan Ellis is a bit more dear, but Meredith is a little bit cheaper. Probably can be a little bit expensive at times, but he's probably the one that I would bring in. Sound like 86. I think he has played for Australia as well at one point. Matthew Wade. He's only played 3 games, Wade. Wade could work out if you do bring him in, if he is playing, potentially as well. I don't want to have too many, so I'll probably have Meredith simply because I think he's probably an okay price point. Have him on. And that will probably be enough for Hobart Hurricanes. I mean, you could maybe potentially bring in another keeper with Matthew Wade, and you get points that way. I just don't want to risk it with too many players because if Hobart does have a poor game for one of them, the players perform poorly or they get out cheaply like they did in the first game that they played this season. I mean, they've been one of the better teams lately in the last month, Hobart. They have a good chance of winning it this year the way they've been playing, other than the first game. So that's probably one change I'll make. I haven't decided what I'm exactly going to do yet. But I'll probably want to bring in Glenn Maxwell. So maybe I could get rid of him for a Zampa. Zampa's a good emergency option. Don't mind Zampa. So what I'll do, I could have Zampa there as a thing. I'll need to look at his break-even Zampa. Maybe I could get rid of Connolly. Sydney Sixers, that's going to be a tough game. So you know what, I get rid of Connolly. Take the gamble here. Because I think Connolly, is he being selected from the Australian Test team, isn't he? And I'm not too sure if he's going to be playing. So what I can do, since there is still some value with Connolly, the bowlers, around 6 points, bringing Glenn Maxwell. He's gone up to 170 now. It would have been good to bring him up last week, but he's still gone down a bit. And he can bowl, and he didn't do that well in the field too, so he could have gone a lot more last night as well. He dropped a few catches. One of them was difficult, but he should have caught one. So I always wanted to bring Maxwell in at some point. Probably should have done it last week. Now, the Stars, I know Stars do have the bye next week, so it's probably a silly move, but which would have been alright, yeah. Maybe it is a bit of a dumb move, but what I'll do, as long as I've got everyone else playing next week, it shouldn't be a big deal, because I don't want to... If I'm going to get either bring Maxwell this week or the last round, and if he goes off this week against the Renegades, which he does have potential to do so, they do have a good bowling lineup. It's Glenn Maxwell though, who knows? I don't want to take that risk again. It is a bit of a gamble that I'm doing, so it may look silly. But if he does well this round, it may not look that too silly. It's silly of me not bringing him in last week, and I really wanted to, and I just don't know what I was thinking. 142,000. Now, if Matt Short's playing, that's another player I probably need to bring in again. Who should I get rid of him for? Maybe even an Edwards, potentially. Warner, maybe. So he's got the emergency option as well, and he got Jilks. So maybe I could switch Jilks there with Harper. Get rid of Harper. And have Warner as an emergency option. But I'll have to bring in Short back in this week. Stone's is another hit or miss player, but if he can either bat or bowl well, he's still got to maintain his price and potentially do well. And since he is common, a lot of people have him. It could backfire on me. Maybe I could trade out Harper. How much? So I've got 240 for Short. What's Short on? 249. So he's still expensive, Short. I'm trading him out for Harper, so it's not going to work out. Maybe they could get rid of Lockie Ferguson. actually lost money on him even though I got 86. Bring Short back in. And that leaves pretty much it for the round. And all of a sudden you still got Overton Short in, got Glenn Maxwell, you got Water in, who's still a good player. Put him as an emergency option. Got Jilks as an emergency there. Harper. I don't know why I've got Harper in. I'd rather get rid of Harper for someone else. Oh, there we go. Oh, wait a second. You've got... Yeah, what I'll do... I just have Harper there. And if Warner goes off, then I can put Dawn. If hopefully Dawn's not being selected. And Warner goes off. He should score more than Harper. And then V vice captain option, emergency option here with Meredith. Flexi. Yeah, again. No, he's bat and bowl. And take a gamble here with this. And put the emergency option on Meredith. And then bring Warren in. Things playing out well. Now the vice captain option. It's going to be a bit... Could go with Jordan, though. He hasn't done that great this season. Potentially even could go with the David Warner. But I don't have him on. So I'm going to go Mitch Owen. He's averaging 67. So if he's still playing this round, Mitch Owen, vice captain. And then you can either chuck it on Overton or Short. Go on Overton for now, but I might chuck it on Short if he is going to play. Who they're playing? Brisbane. They have a good bowling lineup, but the batting hasn't been particularly that great. Other than maybe Max Bright, and there are a few knocks from Pearson the first round. Haven't really, and maybe Max Sweeney a few games. Haven't really had any full team effort. Sort of rely on someone to get the job done and carry the lineup. So potentially Short could grab a few wickets there against Brisbane. He's on a main bowler, and Short Overton could get a few wickets there. With the Renegades, I think Zampa's still one of those players you can, a bit of a hot and cold player, and Sutherland could be another key player as well for that. You could put the captaincy option on him as well. I wouldn't write it off. Has had one of the highest averages this season. Overall, not too particularly fussed with his side now. You could see maybe Harper's probably the one I ideally want to get rid of. But either the loopholes here should be fine, and you got Jilks maybe as a backup option here, still cheap as an emergency option here. Who actually has a high average on Harper now. Hopefully Tim can get back to form and then make that pick worthwhile. But 174, I knew it wasn't going to be the best move, and it just didn't work out for me, which is a bit frustrating. Overall, hopefully this will bounce back this round and go up the ranks again. Still not. Hopefully I can get closer to top 10. It's not writing it off yet, but after that round, with a few poor trades last round, it sort of stuffed up a few things and a bit of bad luck as well. Mostly luck, but you got to plan things and try to make it the worst case scenario. And maybe should have brought in the Hobart players this round and next week. But yes, I've got 3 of them here too, so doesn't really matter. We'll leave that for now. I'm pretty happy with this setup, other than probably Harper. But if Warner goes bananas, and that should be an easy emergency option. All right, thank you for watching. And do well.